Hello, everybody. I'm Andrea Waite. I am the head of Inova's customer success team in the US, and I'm also head of the US office of Inova. And I'm really glad that you're all here. I'm also glad to be here to MC the next segment of our community event, Customer Success Stories. Each of these stories is unique and highlights the ways in which Inova works with our customers to ensure that they have the best of success, not only with our software and services, but in all of their partnering activities, and of course, in working with us. And as you've heard in our theme song, of course, we are very excited about helping our customers to speed up their partnering. And when we think of what we do in customer success at Inova, we're thinking about that as well. The customer success team, they have this in mind every time they begin a new project or they hear about a new feature they want to launch with their customers, whatever it might be. We also think of collaborating as not only important to the customer's interactions with their partners, but in how we collaborate with our customers to meet their needs and fulfill their requirements. Whether that would be for more accurate and effective reporting, and a more efficient execution of due diligence, or better alignment of business processes amongst your teams, or making the most of your partnering meetings. And today we're going to share with you a couple of really special stories that really illustrate the kind of success that Inova helps bring to our customers. The first of these stories focuses on how we helped a customer connect to a host of potential new partners via our unique virtual partnering platform. And the second focuses on the customer success manager, or CSM, and how they collaborated with the client to successfully execute a complex migration project. So with that, I'm going to introduce you to our first set of presenters. Our key account manager, Alban Wanja, he is going to lead a conversation with Dr. Maurice Shelley, a global head of corporate business development and licensing, and Dr. Paul Elier, corporate business development and licensing manager, both at Pierre Fabre. And together, they're going to tell you the story of the first Pierre Fabre hosted virtual partnering event run on Inova's one-on-one partnering platform. And just quickly before we begin, as a reminder, as Dylan said, you can always enter questions for the presenters today. You just, on the bottom of your Zoom window, there's a button that says Q&A. Just click on that. You can enter questions and we'll handle all the Q&A at the end of this conversation. Okay, I'm going to hand it over then to you, Alban. Take it away.
Thank you, Andrea. Much appreciated. Good afternoon and good morning for those joining from across the pond. I am Alban Wanja. I'm part of the commercial team at Inova and also Pierre Fabre's key account manager. So today I will be discussing Pierre Fabre's virtual partnering event with Maurice Shelley and Paul Elliott to get in the details of what made it a success. Maurice, don't know if you were here with us. If we can, fantastic. Perhaps we can start with you giving us a brief introduction about Pierre Fabre and your partnering strategy.
Yeah, sure. And thank you, Alban and the Inova team for giving us, to Paul and I, the opportunity to talk about this original and definitely breakthrough Pierre Fabre Biopharma partnering event we organized in early February in 2021. This event symbolizes one of our global efforts at Pierre Fabre Group to digital through our entire value chain. So in a nutshell, Pierre Fabre. So Pierre Fabre is a French private pharmaceutical company headquartered in southwest of France. Pierre Fabre is an independent company held by a foundation, a government-recognized public interest foundation, which implements multiple programs in different parts of the world, in Middle East and Africa, getting access to drug and healthcare. In 2020, we reached 2.2 billion euro turnover with a set of activity from pharmaceuticals to dermocosmetic products, and we almost inject 17% of our pharmaceutical turnover to R&D. We have 65% of our turnover in outside France through different subsidiaries, 45 countries, and we are selling our product in 130 countries. And 10 years ago, Mr. Pierre Fabre decided, when he was alive, Pierre Fabre decided to increase our effort in acquiring new molecules to extend our R&D and commercialize portfolio from innovative biotech company. And we decided to collaborate with Inova to settle the whole process of our business development department through the Inova platform. And we have been able to start transforming the group with a substantial acquisition, modeling our activity in drug development and commercializing both in the consumer healthcare, oncology, dermatology, and rare diseases. So that's all I can say in a nutshell for Pierre.
Very good. That's interesting. Perhaps you can tell us why did Pierre Fabre want to host their own private partnering event? What were you hoping to achieve, and what was your vision for the event?
I let the floor to Paul, who can respond because he was responsible.
Okay. Thank you, Alban. Thank you, Maurice. Well, unfortunately, the context is only too well known to everybody. We were faced with a worldwide pandemic, which is leading to very challenging circumstances for business development. International travel restrictions with a major impact on events, such as JP Morgan, which has been a very important event for us in the past. Clearly, we're carrying on participating in such events, albeit in digital mode, but we wanted to take things further. As with everybody, we're experiencing a major step change in the use of digital tools for connecting and collaborating. So our CEO had the idea basically, so why don't we put into place a custom event exclusively for Pierre Fabre and to improve our interaction, enable interaction with innovative biotechs. So we went ahead with that with a strong support from Inova using the one-on-one partnering platform. And that went ahead and took place in February of this year. Clearly, what we wanted to do was we had a number of objectives. We wanted to accelerate ongoing discussions with companies. We wanted to identify new licensing opportunities and really try and connect with companies throughout the world, and to boost the profile of Pierre Fabre as a prospective partner within business development.
It's very interesting. And why did you approach Inova with this idea?
Because we have a long-standing relationship with Inova, and to be honest, my CEO, asked for all the value chain of Pierre Fabre to go to digital, and it was the opportunity for us. The COVID period is the only way to find new partnership, and we asked about to get a totally specific virtual event to Alban and the team and Inova team, and to you. And we have requested to adapt the one-on-one partnering platform for, let's say, for custom, very private event. And you were very, very, very reactive. And I would like to thank you again for reacting like that for us, because we work in a very, very short time frame from December to late January to build this event.
Yeah, it is true that the deadline was quite tight, but the good news is that we managed to put it off in time and make it a success. Can you please take us through the steps of planning the event? How did you get on?
Yes, sure. Well, I mean, as you mentioned, a sweet spot in terms of date was identified at the beginning of February, and the decision to put the event into place was taken at the end, beginning of December. So within that time frame, basically, we had to get all the text visuals in terms of communication into place. We created an event logo. We created a website for a landing page, and then we needed to communicate to potential participants. So we put into place an online media campaign, both through paid media and then also through leveraging our own and Inova's networks to communicate to interested companies. So to be able to meet that time frame, clearly we had to put into place a very efficient project management team. That was done with both the respective Pierre Fabre participants and the Inova team headed up by Olivier Duchamp. Very big thank you to Olivia. We had a very regular contact. We'd originally planned weekly meetings. It went a little bit over at certain key points on that. But as we mentioned, everything came together and the event was carried out successfully in the beginning of February, where we had a total of just over 90 meetings with different companies throughout the world.
So brilliant. And what about the outreach? Can you tell us about the outreach? Your outreach. Who were you targeting in a particular event?
It was innovative biotech worldwide, okay. And we tried to identify new opportunities in the field of oncology, hematology, and rare disease from discovery platform through clinical stage to marketed assets that could be useful and could be synergized with our portfolio. We had also the opportunity to rediscuss and to emphasize our discussion we had so far with some companies. And so it was a very important opportunity for biotech company that was attending this meeting to meet our executive management. So it was quite fruitful. During this event.
Okay. In terms of interest, and what was the interest level like for the event from biotechs and investors, for instance?
Let's say during the meeting, we had a quite positive feedback from during and after the event, including from non-participating peer companies. So that was quite a surprise. I had a lot of email and LinkedIn messages that talk about this event and how we proceed in building this event. So it was recognized as very original and breakthrough for the time being in the business development world.
That's great. Can you describe the screening process for the companies that participated?
Yeah, sure. Basically, we had two workflows. We had identified a number of companies who either were already in contact with, or we thought it'd be interesting to discuss further with them. And then we sent out invitations to those companies. And then we had spontaneous incoming requests for meetings. That came from companies who had seen our publicity campaign and then logged onto the event website. And that enabled us as well we had a lot of companies coming in who we had not been in this previous discussions, or in some cases we had not identified previously. So there was a good mix in the event. Geographically, we achieved our objectives as well. We had a good mix between companies based in North America, companies based in Europe, and companies based in Asia. Strong support as well coming in from our operations based in Beijing. And with the advantage of us being based in Europe, it worked well for the event in that we were able to talk in the morning with Asian-based companies, and then afternoon and evening with US through to the West Coast US later on in the day.
That's interesting. I mean, putting an event like that, especially with different time zones, must have been quite a challenge. So in terms of the experience, what was the experience like for the participating companies?
Well, I think based on the feedback we've had, certainly there was a number of advantages. First of all, the fact that we had a strong support and participation from our senior management was a very important point. It gave biotechs the opportunity to discuss very directly with the key decision makers within Pierre Fabre, and sometimes at an earlier stage than often would be the case within a business development process. So that was clearly appreciated. And then the other advantages was the facility of access in the meeting online is quickly organized, doesn't require travel, and that was a major advantage as well. And then the thing we had to be careful as well is ensure clear communication to the companies. Unfortunately, due to limited time slots, we weren't able to meet every company who contacted us, but we tried to make our best to ensure that there was a good communication to both participating and non-selected companies.
And how did that reflect on the impact of the business development activities?
Can I take this? It was finding new opportunities first. It was the first aim of this event. But we had the opportunity to accelerate momentum in some ongoing projects, and through direct discussion with between the biotech companies and our executive management. And we had the opportunity to accelerate a deal that we started 1 or 2 months ago before the event, and we signed the deal one month later. Because of this event, it was very easy for us to accelerate internally the process of getting these results.
Okay. Paul, you talked about the challenges of pulling off this event at short notice, especially obviously early in the year. And I remember the preparation started early December. What were the key factors to the success of the event?
Well, I think two key factors. I mean, something I've already mentioned, but it was important, was to have that support from our senior management, because that enabled us to take decisions quickly, ensure that the suitable resources, the appropriate resources and the key competence within our own company were available. And then the second key factor was the close relationship with Inova. We've worked together for a good number of years, so that relationship was already there. And the way that the two of us came together and created a very strongly functioning project team, that was important to enable the event to take place as quickly as it did.
Brilliant. What could you improve in the future, having said all of that?
Well, I think the next thing, we met the challenge that our CEO gave us to meet put it on in 2 months' time. I think maybe next time, certainly we will argue to have a little bit more time. I think if only for that, it's important to enable us to communicate effectively with such things. The communication went quickly with biotechs, for example, but maybe other vectors of communication, such as biotech clusters, need a little bit of time, some to have feedback from your communication actions. So a little bit more time.
Okay. And for my final question, do you see a role for this type of event within business development?
Yes, probably. I think we are facing a period that is quite complicated for us to meet a company face to face, but and to meet in person. And I think at the end, partnering in the future will be probably driven by both face-to-face and virtual interactions. We have been able to, and I think the biotech and pharma world have been able to drive new agreement in the last year. So I feel that it's an additional way of thinking partnering.
Very well. Well, that's it for me. I think it's time for Q&A. Andrea, do we have some questions from the audience?
Yes, Alban, we have a few things that have come in. Just as a quick reminder, when you have questions, be sure to click the Q&A button at the bottom of your Zoom window, and then we can respond to that promptly. The first question that has come in, these questions look like they are coming to Paul and to Maurice, so I'll go ahead and throw them out there. The first one is, would you see biotech clinical doing these partnering events, perhaps combined with a mini R&D day? Also recommendations so that it does not look like an auction day.
We have been able to clarify the at the beginning of each meeting, it was first partnering, having get to know with each other, and I think it was the major part of the meeting we had during this event, and it was not really an auction. It was get to know and to have a sort of and it was for us an easy way to present some potential lead to our executive management. No, it has not been considered as an auction.
Okay.
I think maybe, yeah, it's a detail in the organization, but we actually set up the event with a format for longer meetings than the typical bio event. So instead of 30-minute, we extended that, which meant that the two companies or the two partners discussing had time to sort of go into deeper depth and to understand each other, rather than being, you know, a rapid rollout of a multitude of meetings.
And it was quite flexible, you know. We were able to organize 30 minutes meeting to 1.5 hour meeting, depending on the importance and of each meeting. So it was not so hard to organize if it's let's say a more thorough exchange versus let's say a first meeting with a company that we didn't know before.
Okay, thank you. This is sort of tied to a comment that Paul made, I think, in a way. One question coming in, is there a standard length for a private partnering event?
Standard length? I don't think so, really. And at the end of the day, the platform is sufficiently flexible that it can be adapted to according to different needs. Certainly, I mean, one thing is going to have an impact as to where companies geographically based, you know, in terms of hitting different time zones. And increasingly, we're seeing events going now to a longer number of days, but reducing the time. It depends as well on the different participants' availability compared to the other things. So I don't think there's a standard answer to that, but the platform, it's up to each individual user to customize that to their own requirements.
Sounds good. I think that might be coming from people feeling the excitement and exhaustion of a bio event that runs 4, 5, 6 days long, and so many. But sometimes you need to have extra time to make sure everyone gets their chance, right? Next question. How did you attract biotechs to the event? Did one channel work better than others?
Oh, we had it was quite short, but we used you know, the classical LinkedIn, Fierce Biotech, and we have been advised by Inova to run such a communication, to try to reach all the biotech field all around the world. But I think we need, as mentioned, Paul, we needed more time to do the, let's say, to attract more companies. So it's quite classical. You have to have your communication department with you to run such an event. Maybe Paul have other things to say.
Yeah, no, I mean, we were very happy with the number of companies that we got. I think if we'd had even more, it would have been difficult to deal with it. There was lots of different channels that we looked in terms of communication, going from the paid publicity to working our own networks. And as with all business development activities, the meetings that took place were really from a whole different mixture of sources. And so that's healthy. It didn't help that we were doing it at Christmas time. So the publicity was fighting with all the seasonal distractions. But I think at the end of the day, what it showed was that the fact that all communications are becoming very much digital orientated, that worked very, very efficiently.
Mm-hmm. I imagine it was hard to compete with JP Morgan as well. So
Yeah.
a lot of things getting the attention of your potential partners. Last question, I have one coming in now. How often will Pierre Fabre host private partnering events? Is another one planned already?
We are currently thinking about that. It depends on the the way the world is changing regarding the COVID situation, but we will have to think about that later. I think before June we will let's say we will decide whether or not we will go through this type of event. It was quite a success, to be honest, and we have quite wonderful meetings with companies. And I think that probably before the end of, I hope, it depends on my executive management, but I hope, and the availability of them, I hope we'll be able to organize another one during this year.
I think one thing which certainly will was well received by them was the budget side. When you take into account the budget typically of taking people out to San Francisco, hotels in San Francisco, JP Morgan, organizing this type of event can be very cost effective, even when you include paid advertising.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Everything is going virtual at the moment until, let's say, September. We all see that all the conferences are virtual. So I don't think that JP Morgan will be, let's say, will occur at in the same format. I think it will be at the same format as at this year. Let's see. It depends on the organizer.
Okay, thank you. I don't see any other questions, so I'll just say thank you all for participating, Maurice and Alban.
Sorry, there's one that just came through. What key alignments are required?
Oh, so sorry. I didn't get one.
Go for it.
Yes. So the question is, what key elements are required internally to ensure success of such an event?
Well, I think we've already touched on some of them. Certainly the key components, you need to have good contribution from the business development team, depending how your BD works in your company, your R&D people, the communications team. Our public relations department got involved with us to help in creating graphics, in creating communication material, and then also the IT team as well were involved. And to ensure that that there was good cooperation within such a time frame, then it was obviously important to have the strong sponsorship from the management committee. And once we had that, then the actual organisation went ahead very effectively.
Okay, thank you. Let me see if there are any other questions. Excuse me. I don't see that any other have come in, so thank you, Paul, Maurice, and Alban for that interesting discussion.
Yep, thank you.
And now, yep. And without further ado, we will move on to the second success story.